This tutorial covers information from the Intermediate Excel class. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to find duplicate data. For instance, if you have a list of students in your school and you've pulled assessment scores, my data is smaller, so I could spot them quickly. However, if you have 700, 1,000 students, spotting them quickly is not an option. To find duplicate data in your worksheet, I like to go to the conditional formatting. I'm going to choose the column in which I want it to find duplicate data. I'm going to choose last names. You could also choose student numbers, any information that you want to find duplicate data for. Under conditional formatting, I want to choose the arrow, highlight cell rule, duplicate values. And I'm going to click OK because filling it light red is okay with me, but you can choose your option. Then it will highlight duplicate data. That way, in case I have two Gales, like a Dorothy Gale and a Sue Gale, I can choose whether or not I want to delete that row of information, so I don't accidentally delete somebody that I did not want to delete. You can also go to Data menu and choose to remove duplicate data, and Excel will remove it for you. However, I like to do the conditional formatting option because I want to actually choose which data that I want to delete from my spreadsheet. Next, I'm going to show you the average formula. If I would like to average, for instance, my Common Skills assessment scores, I'm going to make this column my Common Skills assessment average. And in this cell, I want this cell to equal the average. So I'm going to enter in that cell equal average, then an open parentheses. Then I'm going to left click with my mouse the beginning of the data that I want averaged. Oops, I want my Common Skills assessment, not my TCAP scores. I only want these three columns averaged, so I've selected these three columns, L2 through N2. And then once I'm done selecting data, I select the close parentheses, and then I hit enter on my keyboard. And that gives me the average of these three columns, L2 through N2. I could repeat the same process for every row. However, to make it a little bit easier on me, I'm going to right click on that cell, copy, and I'm going to paste that formula all the way down. If I do not want to see all my decimal points, I want Excel to round the averages for me, I'm going to select the cells in which I want Excel to round the data. I'm going to go under Format Cells, Number, and drop my decimal down to 0. And that rounds my number. Summing numbers is the exact same as average, except instead of equal average, I would do equal sum, open parentheses, choose the data, close parentheses, and hit enter. And that sums the scores in these three columns, which we would not be using it for this type of program. But if you are adding money, if you've taken up field trip money or something of that nature, the sum formula can be handy in an Excel spreadsheet. Concatenate formula is helpful to add two columns into one column. Add the data in two columns into one column. For example, if I did not want two separate columns for names, I'm going to insert a couple of columns to the right of my data, And I'm just going to label this student name. And I'm going to use the concatenate formula to combine Spade and Sam into this one column. So I'm going to type equals concatenate, open parentheses. I'm going to choose Spade, the last name. Then I'm going to choose a comma. I'm going to add a comma and a space between Spade and Sam to where I have equals concatenate A2, comma, parentheses, comma, space, parentheses, comma, and then Sam, close parentheses, and we'll hit enter. What that does, it gives me Spade, comma, a space, and then Sam. If I just entered concatenate Poppins, comma, Mary, and then close parentheses, it combines my whole name into one because Excel thinks I want Poppins, Mary to be combined into one word. I could just add the comma. And no space. But once again, I like adding that little extra space after the comma. So I want to copy my top concatenate formula all the way down my column. I'm going to delete those two. I'm going to right click and copy, and I'm going to paste my formula to where it pastes the names. Now, what I'm also going to do though, I'm going to add an extra step, which is why I added the extra column. I'm going to copy this data and I'm going to paste it again, but I'm going to paste values, this clipboard with the 1, 2, 3. The reason I'm doing that is because I do not want to have last name, first name, and student name in my spreadsheet. When I start deleting my columns, notice my student names go away. It's because it's looking for that data. This is just a column of formulas. That's how Excel looks at it, and I removed some data. Now Excel does not know what that data is. Because I pasted, when I copied and I pasted, well, it won't show it to me because I haven't copied anything. When I pasted just the values, Excel knows that these are just values now, so this is not going away. So I can safely delete those two columns and I still have my student names. And that was the concatenate formula. The COUNTIF formula is handy if you want to count the number of cells that are occupied. For instance, if I wanted to have a student, let's say if I want to have a student number or student count. So I want to count the number of students in this list. I can say equal COUNTA, open parentheses, and it's going to count all those occupied cells and tell me there are 18 occupied cells. Now, what it will not do is count unoccupied cells. So actually cover 19 cells instead of just 18, but Excel is only going to read that I have 18 cells with data in it. So it still only returns that I have 18 students because there's no data in this cell. And I'm just going to delete that row.